Hash Hush and Circle Up.
Welcome to On, the Hash House Harrier podcast for interviews, history, and stories. I'm your host, Ra.
Today on the podcast, we're playing Where is Hazukashii? And today it's Spin the Big Wheel. Wherever Hazukashii is, there's going to be a hash. Today it's Germany. Welcome back, Haz.
Thanks. Always good to be here. Got lots of good info to share with you today.
Where exactly in Germany are you sitting right now?
I'm just south of Frankfurt. I ran the Frankfurt hash last night, and then the Schitz, the summer hash in the suburbs of Frankfurt is tomorrow. I'll run with them and then head back down to Stuttgart for hashing down there on Tuesday.
Yeah, Frankfurt's doing a great job on social media. I am bombarded with Frankfurt announcements and planning. They seem to be very well organized. How's their attendance?
We had about 20 or so last night. It was a good crowd, good run over in Wiesbaden.
We might get through Frankfurt. We're going to Interscandy this summer. That is up in Hamburg. So I'm sure Frankfurt will be doing stuff around that event.
Right. There's also a German Hash coming up and German Hashathon, which is going to be a fun event out in the countryside.
Before we talk about the South America event you're planning, what else you're up to and progress on the book, what other hashathons do you know of and have you done? And when you say hashathon, some people that have done that, some of them will cringe and say, I'm never doing that again. What's going on with hashathons?
The first one I ever did was Over the Hump Hash there around Washington, D.C. They've done it every year for, at least 2 decades now. I've run 4 or 5 of those. And it's basically a hashathon is 4 trails in one day, and each one is 10.5 kilometers. If you run all 4 of them, you run the equivalent of a marathon in one day, but probably over about a 7 or 8 hour period, because after each trail, there's a little break, get something to eat and drink, and then give the hares for the next leg a chance to get out and get running. I've done the one here in Germany twice. I did the first one about 10, 12 years ago, and then I did the one last year. I'll be herring the one this year, one of the legs. I see there's a hashathon. It's called hashathon in Korea, but it's more of a hash hell. It's 10 or 12 days of just hashing. So it's not really a hashathon. They're just calling it that. There's a few others spotted around the world that actually do the 4 trails in one day.
It's 4 times 10.5 kilometers. When you're herring, is there over distance and false trail distance, or those things normally pretty close?
The true trail is supposed to be roughly at the end of the day 42K. I know that last year when I did it, I was over 44. It just depends on how quick you are and how lucky you are in the right way.
Yeah. All right, let's catch up with one last thing before we talk about the big South American event, which is your travel schedule. Where are you heading after Stuttgart? How far ahead are you looking?
I'm actually going to try to hit a couple of new countries out in the Channel Islands. I'm going to go to Jersey and Guernsey next week and check out on 2 hashes at each island throughout the week. So get 4 runs in. Then I'm going to spend a couple of days in London, run with the London hash and the first UK full moon hash. And then I head to Brazil. I'll be in Brazil a couple of weeks early to get caught up with what's going on, do some trail scouting, and just meet up with friends there that are doing all the organizing. Wealth and the committee down there really doing a great job of putting things together, and which we'll cover when I go through the agenda here.
Let's start with the agenda, and we'll talk about Genesis history, idea, who's involved, what is exactly on the calendar, and when people who want to be part of Pan SoAm, when they need to show up, when they can show up and do other stuff.
Okay, the official event dates are 7 to 9 June. That's Friday, Saturday, Sunday, first full weekend in June. You can actually go early. There's going to be pre-lubes and post-lubes. Pre-lubes in Sao Paulo, Rio, and Asuncion, Paraguay are also doing pre or post-lubes, and it's all listed on the website. Also, you can come early to Brasilia. There's going to be the weekly party they do every Wednesday. We're also opening up for goodie bag pickups on Thursday as well at the Hash Hotel, which is the Cullinan H Plus But yeah, you can come early, you can stay late in Brasilia. There's pre-loops, post-loops. There's going to be plenty going on.
Who are the names of the people organizing those preloads? People will recognize them. There's some like Ascension. You've got the German people down there.
Yeah, Van the Cock and Double Dutch Mountain are the protagonists there. And I've been to Paraguay several times. I just love it there. So that'll be good hashing. Mabush is in Sao Paulo. She's organizing events down there, both in Sao Paulo and I believe in SoAm, where she lives down on the beach. And then Threesome and Wood Dick are organizing Rio. And I believe Burnt Socks is in Rio now, and he probably will have a hand in things organizing as well.
So this is an opportunity for people to be possibly a survivor of a new event because it's number one of all time. What is the story behind the forming and attempt to create Pan SoAm?
As many people know, I've hosted my website for over 25 years now. When Flying Booger stopped doing the calendar of events for Half Mind, I picked it up and put it on my website. So I've been doing that for over 20 years. You get to see where events are taking place, what's happening annually, what's happening in the bigger events that are every other year and so forth. And I hardly ever saw anything going on in South America. I always wondered what was going on. And then, of course, we know what happened with Colombia and Inter Americas hash. Still more to come out on that in the future, but generally everybody knows the story of how that got there. That was going to be the first big event to take place, which we know hasn't. Anyway, when I kicked off my world travels 5 years ago, I had planned to come down to South America just to meet the people. What is the big deal? Why isn't anything events going on? I did. Just after COVID, I scheduled a flight. I went to Ecuador first and met up with the alpacas in Cuenca. I just fell in love with the whole continent. I've hashed in 9 of the 13 countries of South America now, and we'll hit Chile after we hosted events. So that pretty much covers everything. When I went down, I went to Brazil, met up with the GM of the Brasilia hash. His name is Wealth, hash name Opulence. We hit it off real well. He's German, I'm German. My family heritage is German. And we just hit it off. He toured me around, showed me everything around the city. We ran the hash, and I've been back a couple of times since then. But in our discussions, I kept telling him, what is going on down here? Why isn't anything big events? And I suggested, why don't we host a Pan South America hash to try to draw more interest? Because I know I've talked to people in my travels, and everybody wants to go to South America, but I think there's still this kind of underlying concern about security because of back in the 80s and 90s, there was all these coups and the drug wars and so forth. And people are just generally scared or concerned about their security when traveling in South America. And I'm here to say that I've been down there 8 or 10 times in the past 3 years and never had an issue, never had a problem. I want to encourage more activity down in South America. And this was just one of the ways. And Opulence has really taken off and made this a reality in Brasilia. He has put together a great committee. They've done a lot of great planning, and I'll start telling you some of the things that are going on right now and get into the details. We've got about 200 people signed up. Not as big as we wanted, but I think there's still some concerns about what happened with Trinidad and what happened with Colombia and what cancellations and so forth. People worried about their money getting consumed. But I think once we host a successful event here in Brasilia, that'll alleviate some of those concerns, and maybe the next one in 2026 will be better attended. And we're doing trail registrations now. We're going to do 3 different choices. A walker's trail for the older folks that just want to participate. We're going to have a medium trail, and then the ball breaker will be broken out into a long trail and a super long trail. We'll have all the typical events. The ball buster is going to be about 18 to 20K as far as I know. I'll see about that when I get down there. Just today, I found out that in order to get into some of the event locations, we have to start collecting passport info. So for those registered hashers that are coming to Brasilia, check your email, check the Facebook group, and check the WhatsApp group. Information is in there. Send it to me. We'll collect that information, and then you'll be able to attend all the events that are going on. Now, I understand that some people are concerned about their personal information, passport number, and so forth. You don't have to send it in. I understand, and you'll be able to do all the hash events other than go into some of the locations that we're hosting some of the parties.
You have to get that in ahead of time.
Yeah, we're collecting that info now, 4 weeks from today when we kick off. So now's the time to get it in.
Let's just do a quick, where do you go to Reggio? How much does it cost? And where should people fly to? If people don't have any clue, where are they flying into?
First off, all this information is in the FAQ on the website. It's off of I've got a link off of my website. Go to thehash.net. You can find it there in a couple of different spots.
They can Reggio online. How much does it cost when they first start and say, okay, I don't know what I'm doing? Where are they landing? What airport is the closest thing to where they're going to spend the weekend with Pan SoAm?
The current price is $250 US, and that gives you 3 or 4 full days of activities, 3 trails, parties, all the alcohol and softies you can drink, and attendance at some of the events, the parties and things. I get you transportation. We're going to have buses running from the hotels out to the run sites and to the main venue, some of the other venues that we're going to be participating in. It's $250 US, payable through PayPal. If you have issues with PayPal, just let me know and we'll work out another option.
Everything's on the fact, so people can read, but they just think you're heading to Brazil. You're heading to Brazil. There's a lot of other internal flights you can do and visiting, but they may have to check into visa and travel and things from different countries. Yeah.
Some countries still have a visa, but for those that were concerned, US, Canada, and Australia, they were supposed to start requiring a visa, but they had so many problems they postponed it for a year. So if you're one of those 3 countries, you don't have to worry about it now. But you fly into the Brasilia airport, which is BSB, Bravo Sierra Bravo. It's a short ride into the areas where the hotels are. Uber is prevalent there. It's cheap. It's safe. Make sure it's loaded on your telephone. The app is, and you can get around real easy. But again, we will have buses running from the hotel area going to the different venues at different locations that we will be participating in. The Hash Hotel itself is the Cullinan H+, and that's where registration will take place. That'll be the central focus there in the hotel district.
What's a beer brand that people are going to be drinking most of the time?
There's several there. We have a sponsor, Krill Cerveja. There will also be the local drinks that they have. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing this right, but it's cachaça. We will have stands doing those as well as some of the other local specialty drinks. We're really focused on providing a cultural experience for Brazil as well as a great hashing event.
Yeah, it's really cool because we're talking about the Americas, but it's going to be a different for people that haven't been to South America, and maybe it'll be a lot of people. It'll be first time. Quite a different culture, even though it's in the same time zone and as a lot of North America, not too big a change there, but quite a different cultural thing. I'm sure it's going to be great fun. Just keep adding whatever you want people to know, but it'd be great to hear the backstory of what it takes from let's do this. What were some of the hurdles you can talk about or things you didn't expect in organizing? What's it take?
I got to give a huge shout out to Opulence, who has really taken the ball and run with this initial event. He's done a great job of getting some sponsors, coordinating with the government, the travel department, working out a lot of the issues, venues, scouting trails, and just coordinating the whole committee down there. He's really made it happen. We're also looking at the future, who's going to host in a couple of years. To be honest, the hatches are quite small comparatively to some of the other places around the world. Any club that hosts in the future will probably need some assistance, and I personally plan on helping with that. I think probably some of the other folks will want to help as well, just to help it move around and keep going. A couple other items for continued information. It's all available on the website, but I want to reiterate that we have a WhatsApp group, we have the Facebook group, and we have an email information list that I send out emails to, a monthly basis or so, just to keep people informed of what's going on. So that's the best way to stay plugged into new things that are happening. Again, we have the official website, which is built off the Brazil for Dummies website that, interestingly, Wealth has put together, the Opulence. That gives you all the information about what's going on around Brasilia outside of the hash, but it also lists the Brasilia hash there. We also have the hash website. It's got the schedule of events from Wednesday through Sunday. It's got a who's coming list. It's got the fact we talked about. There's hotels listed. There's discounts for hotels and plenty of other questions, which talks about Uber. It talks about which airport to fly into and so forth. You can rent cars there too. I probably will rent a car when I get down there in a couple of weeks just to get around for a little bit. All the pre and post loops are listed with specific details on how to get in touch with the folks that are putting on those events. They have each built their own WhatsApp group to focus information to all those participants. The buses will be running from the hotel district out to the run sites and so forth, get you back to get cleaned up before the parties each night. All that has been coordinated by Opulence and his committee. He's done a super job. Now, if you really want to pay with cash, you can, but Brazil is a very credit-oriented society. So if you have a good credit card, you should have no issues paying for anything there with a credit card. So no issues there.
Go ahead. I was just going to ask about the parties. Is there any themes? If people need to bring anything besides hash gear, what do they want to bring?
Theme for Friday night is just party. Just think South America. Saturday will be carnival. So wear your outrageous outfits. If you've seen some of the videos about different carnivals around South America, it's very risque at times. It's very party oriented with lots of beads and things and headdresses. So that would be a fun time. And then, so yeah, that's the best I can tell you. I can look at more into that if anybody has any more questions.
The things that come up in the West and even in some of the Asian countries, it's changed over the years. There's restrictions on Trinidad. You couldn't bring camouflage into the country. Do not buy drugs off somebody in the street, and no nudity, binge drinking. Do you have any restrictions or anything? Are you isolated?
Obviously, drugs are
Yeah.
the nudity. Shouldn't be any of that in public. I don't know if there's going to be some kind of midnight thing sorted out. We'll let you know. That those are easy to prepare for.
Yeah.
You don't need to bring anything special.
You don't have a capacity issue, right? You're not going to double the attendance now, but you can ramp up for whoever wants to show up at the last second.
Oh yeah, we initially had scoped it for 500. Didn't quite get anywhere close to that, but again, there's the concerns I know with the money and getting down to South America. It's going to be a great event, and once people see it and spread the word, take it back with them that the next event in 2 years will be much more accepted, and I think the crowd will be a little bit bigger. The registration link is on the website. Please, if there are 40 or 50 more folks out there that want to join in, unfortunately, we've already ordered the shirts. We may not have your size, but if the goodie bag is something that's going to keep you from coming, that's the only thing that you won't get a full shot at. But the events, the trails, everything, we're ready to scope up a bit. So please, if you have any interest in seeing Brazil and Brasilia and so forth, just please, it's not too late.
Now, all these world events, we can talk about the World Hash. We've tried to have this guiding Inter-Hash Council. There's been a newly formed Euro Hash Council. How will the future of Pan SoAm select hosts? You've only got a dozen countries pretty much in the running. How are you going to pick hosts? And
it's going to be similar to what we see in Interhash or whatnot. We will do bids. Right now, we've only got a couple that are slightly interested, and they want to see how this one goes before they opt in. So we probably won't have a bid ceremony in this particular event. It'll be decided afterwards when people see whether they have the capacity to support it, but more info on that afterwards. And I agree that the Interhash Council has put out a lot of guidelines. I've also been working with Patchwork Quilt, and we developed a charter for Inter-America's Hash. I've just created a website that has collected the history, the background of Inter-America's Hash, and I've reached out to some of the previous hosts to give me a couple of paragraphs on their experience with hosting, and I will be posting those to the website as well. Talk to Toronto. I've already got one from Pittsburgh, and some of the other ones I'll be reaching out to more directly to get their inputs. And I'm doing that for all the events now. I've already done Interhash. I've got Interam. I'm doing Mekong out in Southeast Asia. I think Eurohash may already have a page, but if not, I'll build one for that. I just want to have a central point. I'm very big on hash history, so I'm just trying to collect as much as I can while these folks are still alive. Not to be morbid, but we're getting older. And some of the gray matter we're storing all that data in is starting to fade. So I want to collect it and get it stored before we lose some of these great hashers.
And you're also in the midst or ramping down. Where are you in the book project? How's that going?
The book, I just released the Caribbean Islands, the history of the Caribbean Islands yesterday, which took a while to put together. Many of the articles that I've written. I've got some big ones yet to do: Australia, United Kingdom, Africa. I've already done about 10 countries there, but a lot of the countries are just onesies and twosies. I may do a collective on that. Nigeria is probably one of the most popular, or it is the most popular hashing country in Africa. I think there are over 30 different clubs. Some of them aren't even recorded anywhere, a website or anything. They just got a local WhatsApp group or whatever that they post start information. That's high on my list of countries to attend to. I've got some good friends from Nigeria and living in Nigeria that I want to go visit and just experience some of the hashing there. It's really looking forward to that.
It's interesting that as we go from the hash, from it was unrecorded paper, we had non-digital cameras, then digital film, then we had Facebook, we had Hashspace, we have gotothehash.net. But WhatsApp, without WhatsApp, I wonder if hashing would have stumbled a lot more than it did. It's a key thing, not necessarily in every country, but quite essential thing to a lot of hashes.
The thing is, with WhatsApp, it's very low bandwidth requirements. You can run it on your hand phone, your cell phone. It's easy to load up. It's easy to operate. The only problem is that it gets flooded with data. If anybody can post, you can wake up in the morning and there's 80 or 90 messages in that one WhatsApp group, and information can get easily lost in the shuffle. That's why I have a WhatsApp group that's broadcast only, no comments, and it's just focused on letting people know events as they become available, because since some of the big ones will sell out in a day, getting the earliest information on when registrations are available is key. So I host one of those as well.
Yeah, I guess you can hope that Pan SoAm will one day sell out in a day.
We'll see. We'll see.
We don't want to disrespect ourselves so much here. Anybody that's put on any kind of event knows you're going to get a bunch of stupid questions. And
the only dumb question
without naming names, have you gotten any good ones about Pan SoAm? When does the sun shine down there? Or what planet is it? Do you see the sun? How many moons are there in South America?
Yeah. I had a couple of good questions. Didn't deserve to be announced to all the other people, but most of them have been pretty solid. And just from my past experience, I built the FAQ and answered a lot of the questions. The biggest thing is just getting people to go to the website before they send out a question, because most of that stuff's already answered. But yeah, we're happy to answer whatever anybody has questions wise right there on the WhatsApp group.
All right, then there is going to be the memorabilia. I'm sure a T-shirt will get to the Hash Museum for this new event, but you have to have a T-shirt design, a logo. What was that process, and who has the art skills, and what was that all? How'd that go?
Initially, I reached out to Double Dip Tip out in Hawaii, and she designed our initial logo. She did a great job. She has all the technologies there. T-shirts are being made locally, and I've seen the design. It's going to be amazing. It's going to be a green, national colors of Brazil and so forth. I don't want to give away the total surprise, because I'm looking forward to seeing the smiles on people's faces when they get their goodie bag and pull out their shirt. Definitely one that will be able to spot across the paddock to see what event they're in. It'll be totally distinguishable, and everybody will know that they've been to the Pan South America hash.
Well, how are you handling the goodie bag? There's been downsizing on a lot of big events where some people have been to. A lot of them say, I don't want all this stuff. A lot of it goes into the trash or is traded away immediately. How'd you decide what goodie bag? What's for the first one?
Obviously, the t-shirt is important. There's also going to be cups. There's going to be wine glasses. I believe there's a key ring. Yeah, I agree with you. Some of the events just go totally overboard. Pan Asia, a couple of years ago, they gave away suitcases to haul away the goodies.
Yeah.
But now this one, I think the memorabilia is going to be quite appealing. And I'll come back and give you a report on how everybody receives it once we get going.
All right. What about your acclimation? You going to take any days off and gear up? Or when do you ramp up the event organizers behind anything, even if it's just a day event for that just got a lot of visitors? It's pretty hectic.
Yeah, again, Opulence and the committee down there have been doing some amazing work on putting this together. I'm personally going down a couple of weeks in advance. I think I get there in 2 weeks. So I'll be there for a couple of weeks in advance and just try to catch up with what they're all doing and however I can chip in to help pack goodie bags, move boxes, fill coolers and things like that, and just be a general laborer. A lot of the coordination has been done over the past couple of years about creating websites and information and advertising and collecting money and collecting names, and we're collecting passport info now. Yeah, you have to have that initial surge of getting your bid and creating the event, and then you go through 8 months to a year of just collecting registrations, thinking about trails and how you want to organize and developing logo designs and things like that. Then you get to the point where you say, all right, if you haven't registered by today, you may not get the right size t-shirt because we got to put the order in. So that's a cutoff point. Often that's 4 to 6 weeks in advance or 2 months, depending on what country you're in and shipment requirements. We have passed that point. All the orders are in. We've already started to receive the colored bracelets for participants. T-shirts should be coming in very soon. I think they're coming in late next week. And the cups and all those things will be coming in. There's also a special order if you want to order a keychain with a opener. That's on the website as well. How to do that with your name on it. That's a special order thing. You pay the maker for that, and not part of the goodie bag. But yeah, it starts out with a big rush, and then you have the lull of about a year of waiting, and then you go into final organization mode, which we're in right now. All the venues have been decided. All the sponsors are done. Everything's out for print. Now we're just waiting for everything to arrive. Then we do the goodie bags, and then decorations are going to be a requirement. We got banners being made, the final bus preparations, bus stops, developing the final routes, doing the final checkups on trails, where the beer stops are going to be, making sure the buses go to the right place. Just all those final details that are going right now. But we're in the calm before the storm right now. Things will really kick off in a couple of weeks.
What was your thinking and consideration for red dress run associated for this event?
There will be a red dress event. In some places, it's still illegal for dudes to wear dresses. Those are considerations. Like in New Zealand, they had to have licenses and permits for each trail and where they can drink and boundaries and everything. Brazil's not going to be quite that difficult, but there have been some restrictions that had to be adhered to, and working with different venues, making sure that they have the capacity to support and the sponsors and what they will provide and whether they'll bring it to us or whether we have to pick it up, those kinds of things, just general coordination.
Last second things. Yeah. And how do you personally deal with right after the event ends? Are you even keel or you're so ramped up? And then what happens to you Monday morning? Do you want to sea hash or do you need to decompress? What's your end of event routine?
For me, it always used to be go back to work. You just fly home and your focus is on just getting back to work. Yeah, there is a lull. You've seen a lot of folks that you haven't seen in maybe a couple of years or more. So there's a lot of your brain is full of different things that are going on and catching up and whatever and doing the event. And you hit that Monday morning and all the stress is gone. For this one, I'll stick around for a couple of days to do any cleanup requirements and so forth. But then I'm off to a postlude. I'm going to Santiago, Chile to explore another new country and see some friends I have there. Yeah, everybody's different, but now that I'm fully retired, I don't have the stress of getting back home on time, trying to get a good night's sleep and wake up and go to work. I don't have to worry about that anymore.
Yeah, over the years, you don't have to tell anything that you want to keep secret, but Santiago, Chile certainly been on a lot of people's radars as a great place to host a big event. It's the first time hashing in Chile for you?
That'll be my first time even going there. Yeah, I've hashed in 9 different countries in South America now, and every one of them has their own kind of uniqueness to it. The cuisine, the nightlife, the just the atmosphere. Some are warmer, some are cooler. Just so many wonderful things about South America that I've learned over the past 3 years of multiple visits. I don't want to let this out too quickly, but maybe twist some arms in Chile to see if they would like to host. If not in 26, maybe in 28. There used to be a hash in Bolivia. They were one of the 2 or 3 countries that claimed the highest hash in the world. They're currently dormant, but I do have a point of contact there. Someday I'd like to sneak up there and hash there as well. But Venezuela has had their issues. There's currently no hash activity there until they get their government settled. And French Guyana doesn't have a hash. So those 3, including Bolivia, don't have active clubs right now. But the other 10 countries do have active hash clubs, and even Guyana and Suriname have very nice hash clubs, and I enjoyed hashing with them as well.
Yeah, people can go on a tear with their credit card and adventure travel. If people want to find out if they get altitude sickness, there's a lot of big mountains across that whole continent they can go visit. Yeah.
Yeah, and there's other things to see that it's not just going for hashing. You got the Galapagos Islands, you've got Machu Picchu, you've got Ipanema and so forth in Rio. There's so many other things to do down there. The Amazon, of course, the region. You've got some of the great Aztec ruins here and there. Most of that's more up in Central America. But there's still plenty to see on the South American continent.
Yeah. Okay. Last thing, we all are getting older and we get bumps and bruises and health issues. So you've 5 years of retirement. How's this working out? You feeling better than you did 5 years ago, or are you just keeping pace? How you doing?
I don't talk about it too much, but right at the start, I had open heart surgery before I took off on this trip. And I don't run as well as I used to. My lung capacity is not quite as good. I went through COVID. I had COVID a couple of times. I'm 60 now, so I'm not the spring chicken I used to be. I have lower back issues. This doesn't need to be about my current health situation, but in general, yeah, all I do is go places and run hashes. So I'd still love to run. I rue the day that I can't run a hash trail anymore. And I see some of my friends that have gone to only walking. I actually know some older hashers that had to retire from hashing altogether. And I know that's a life change that is hard, but I'm still going strong. I still love to hash. To me, it's all about the trail. I just love a great trail, and all the other experiences, the circle and everything else is just the whipped cream on top of the cake. So as long as it's a good trail, anything else that happens is fine.
Yeah, it is a passage we're all going to go through, and that's why you got to get out there and do things. And you can't do all the Pan SoAms if you don't do the first one.
That's right. And we're starting in a month's time, and I hope it turns out to have the same kind of longevity that Eurohash and Pan Asia and all those have as well.
Yeah, it's pretty exciting to have a new event after all these years. Thanks for everything you do, Haz. Anything else you want to get in here? We'll just have your final invitation.
No, it's been great. I'm looking forward to seeing all the folks down in Brasilia, and I hope a few more sign up and can come down and experience this first of its kind event.
Okay, on.
Are you coming down?
To close the circle, here's the Hash Anthem sung by Mother Hash.
Swing low.